Alright, so today I want to update the build guide that I've done previously, which is the Swarmblade Tornado Lightning build. After playing a lot with this build at above 600 corruption, I've come to a lot of realization. I've talked with many other content creators also working on the build. One of them being Perry the Pig. Big shout out to Perry. I'll have his link. He also did a variation of this build on YouTube, so I'll link you guys to his video down in the comment section below. But so this is what I've come up with after so many hours of playing it and trying out different things. So first of all, this is the gear that I have currently. Uh, Big change, Cole Navarre's claim, incredible weapon. I managed to have one with 1 LP and slammed in tier 6 increased spell damage. There are other things that you might want here, which would be attack speed. And as a suffix, I would probably put chill on a hit here, because this, like, you cannot get either armor shred or frailty on a scepter, so why not get chill? Um, so this is the gear that I have right now. I've been farming above 600 corruption with this. I would not say easily, because like 600 corruption, no matter your build, if you stack the wrong modifiers, you will take a lot of damage, right? You will take quite a bit of damage. So this is what I have right now. My blessings are the wrong blessings. At first, I was going for endurance. Now I would want like armor and armor, basically. So yeah, this is the build. As you can see, it does a lot of damage. Right now, with this current setup, each of my lightnings like attack for more than 100k. This can go much higher, right? This can go much higher. But yeah, Aura's Time Glass, really good. Anyways, we'll go directly into the build planner, and I'll show you guys what changes that I've made. So basically, Kolvanar's Claim, Katana, nothing special here. Um, it's just probably the best weapon that you can possibly get. If you get it with LP, this is better than a Rune Dagger. This is better than an Obsidian Scepter. You don't. So this would have the downside of when you reach full mana, it is all converted to Ward, and it's like emptied. But since we're using Rage instead of mana, this does not apply. And yeah, so basically we're able to keep our transformation going and deal lots and lots of damage. The spell Lightning Critical Strike chance on this makes us able to basically saves us some prefix slots elsewhere, most notably on rings. So we're able to get 100% crit with our spells without sacrificing too many prefixes for critical strike chance. So you want to go with Kulnivar's Claim with melee attack speed, spell damage, and chill and hit. If you manage to get like 3 LP, 2 LP would be good if you get like both prefixes, right? You get a spell damage, lightning damage. There's also another one which would have flat lightning damage and lightning damage leech. According to my calculations, it is not as good as getting spell damage or melee attack speed, mainly because on this build we don't stack a lot of increased damage. So all the increase that we get is actually very valuable for the build. Our katana, flat spell damage, I think is the best. We're getting bigger numbers, bigger crits. Basically, we will stun enemies more if the bigger our hits are, and the more stacks of Maelstrom that we get. So, like, in my opinion, spell damage is the one that you want as an exalted. You could also go for melee attack speed. You know, it's minor differences, but like I think the optimal setup would be to have the exalted spell damage. So, especially if you have like exalted melee attack speed everywhere else, right? So yeah, this is one place that you can get big flat damage, and I suggest getting it. We seal critical strike multi. We get shred, and frailty is really important, right? You want to be able to shred. Have at least I would say 100 stacks of shred on the mob, like on bosses when you hit them. is really, really beneficial. It's a huge multiplier for our damage, so you want to get that. Frailty basically makes you way tankier, so make sure that you get Frailty somewhere on your build, right? Whether it's on gloves that is sealed, whether it's like on your weapon, just make sure to get it somewhere. So Shred, Frailty, really good. So that's pretty much it for our weapons. Um, the helmet here, we get the implicit with increased health and damage leech as health on hit is really important for the build as well. You want to be leeching as much as possible. And this new base type for our Druid helmet is really good. It has increased health. It is, we all know, last Epoch, EHP meta, pretty much. You know, as long as you're not dying, you're winning. So this is always good. I went for +2 level of Werebear form. We don't use Werebear form, but we use this to get increased damage while transformed. This is the highest value that you can get for tier 5. It's on +2 levels to Werebear form, so that is why I take this one. Critical Strike multi while transformed. Uh, by the way, guys, so the T7 affixes that I chose here are the ones for damage. So I calculated that if we would go for T7 affixes for health instead, basically we're losing, well, the difference between having affixes for health instead of damage is basically 50% damage. If you have exalted affixes for damage that have 50% that are exalted, and you're going for damage instead of vitality, instead of like stuff like that on prefixes, right? We gain 50% of damage. Like, it's a huge deal for a build that strives to stun enemies. So either way, if you get it on your damage stat, if you get it on a health stat, like, you know, it's always going to be good. But keep in mind that like getting exalted on damage here is very valuable and actually makes you a lot tankier. Well, not, it doesn't make you tankier, but specifically for bosses like Orobis, you'll stun her even more. The Shade of Orobis, or you know, stun locking things with this build is a very real thing, and having more damage helps a lot with stunning. So, anyways, that was like my short parenthesis between like having exalted health or exalted damage. Either way, if you have one or the other, go for one or the other, or just switch between the two, right? So, Werebear form, crit strike multi, health, and cooldown recovery while transformed. This makes us more mobile. This is why I made the switch to the opal rings. Basically, I calculate that you need like I think it's about 60% cooldown recovery speed to be able to have 4 more stacks of Maelstrom with this build. Since we every time we dive, we get 4 stacks of Maelstrom, right? 60% is a lot, and we're not able to reach that. So like we would need to sacrifice like either a roll on boots or on a belt or something like that, or get like exalted, yeah, like basically an exalted roll somewhere. So we don't use it to gain more stacks of Maelstrom to stun more, but we use it just to be more mobile. On the rings, I went with lightning damage, spell damage, since we're scaling our lightnings, right? We go for health and endurance. So basically, we cap our endurance with one of our rings, the implicit on Aurora's Time Glass, and I believe here Shitness Plating. So that basically caps our endurance. With 1 crit strike avoidance. So you want to seal at like a tier 1 critical strike avoidance roll somewhere, because you're going for like on your Spriggan you get 72% crit avoidance here. We don't stack attunement, and so we don't have enough to like cap our crit avoidance. Um, Actually, no, not true. We not true. We basically we don't use the crit avoidance because I'm not going for this passive here anymore. So to cap our crit avoidance, you get 1 roll of on a large nomad idol, which is maximum 27, but 27 plus 72 is 99. So you need 1% if you have a perfect roll here, which you will probably not have. So just sealing a tier 1 critical strike avoidance on a ring or somewhere that you can is like the easiest way to cap your crit avoidance. So that's why I go for this here. The other opal ring, I seal min health. I also seal min health on the gloves. So this is basically best in slot gear, guys. So this is what I do: lightning, spell damage, health, and fizz res. So because we're going for different blessings, we don't get the fizz res blessing anymore. This is why I went for one roll of physical res here. Aura's Time Glass, here I went to seal Critical Strike Multiplier. You probably not have a 1 LP one, but this is just incredible because the build struggles while engaging enemies. So the first time you engage, you might go pretty low in life because you need to build up your tornadoes to be able to leech and deal your damage. So this helps us tremendously. Probably one of the most powerful item in the entire game, if not the most powerful item in the game, which gives you a second life every 20 seconds. Yeah, and enemies around are slowed, and you gain haste, and like pretty much like everything about this item is incredible. Also, it gives us attack speed, so it is really good for our build. Attack speed, health, a second life, everything we need. So yeah, that's that. For the gloves, go for Crusader Gauntlets. For the Void Res, we cap like Void Res with like Legacy of Quiet Forest and the Crusader Gauntlets. By the way, the belt, only use this basically if you have an LP one. Because this caps our poison and void res along with the gloves, so and gives us more armor than any other belt, and also it's farmable because it has like only 50 for effective level for legendary potential. So it is farmable with 2 LP fairly easily and possibly 3 LP. Heck, you might even see 4 LP with the drops that are so crazy this patch. So yeah, keep an eye out for the belt. It's really good for transformation builds in my opinion. So you want to get the cleanse on potion use because this is pretty much our only way to cleanse. Except like there are some shenanigans you could do, but usually you would want to have your cleanse on potion use on your belt. So here we go for melee attack speed, T7, critical strike chance. So this is the only roll that we need. The 50. So basically, with Cold Navarre's claim, you need and with my previous setup, I needed I think 93% critical strike chance to cap out that 100. So I would be getting two prefixes roll on rings or on the gloves, right? So 50 plus 50 is 100. We need 93. But I've made some changes in the passive tree. So we grab 2 more points here and 2 more points here. Basically, this makes us able to cap with only one roll. So we save one roll for another spell damage roll, another spell damage prefix. So that helps with our gearing to cap our crit. So we only need one. So we only put this, hybrid health and health, fairly straightforward. Here, I always go for movement speed. I love movement speed, and especially on this build, movement speed is incredibly useful because you will be able to engage enemies. So we don't have a lot of mobility on this build. We only have a dive every so like a couple of seconds, and it is a fairly short dive, so we don't have a lot of mobility. So it is very important to be able to like get a lot of movement speed to be able to dodge stuff. And we're a melee attacker, we stay in place very often, but we need to be able to kite mobs and like slightly move between our attacks sometimes. So this is why I decided to go for T7 movement speed rather than T7 hybrid health. Um, so we're not using Aetheros Path for anything else than the health it is giving us. Basically, the health, the movement speed. This is why we're using this. We're not using this to like gain rage in whatever way. All right. It's also nice that it gives our minions as well 20% increased movement speed. Pretty nice, like because you can move your minion away from danger faster and stuff like that. All right. And Stormcarved Testament, here I went with a critical strike, multi, and lightning damage. There are a couple other stats you could get here, like level, I believe level of avalanche, level of Spriggan form, I think you can get here, which gives you damage while transformed. So basically, just get anything that gives you damage. 2 LP1 is possible to farm for, and this gives us shock, basically because Like we are getting Shred and Frailty on our Katana and Chill on our Kulvanar's Claim. So the shock is coming from here, which is also very important for us for our build. Shock, Lightning Res, Mana, Attunement. It's basically giving us damage, Lightning Pen, Spell, Lightning Damage. All good stats. If you get this with LP, use this. If you don't have it with LP, you would probably rather use just a regular one. And for our blessings, we still go Spell Damage Leech, Shred Lightning Res. This is a big, pretty big multiplier for our damage. Necrotic Res, as you can see, this is the only thing giving us necrotic resistance. So I would probably try to get 75% on that specific timeline. And armor and increase armor. So basically with all this armor, it brings us closer to like 50% armor and makes us, again, way tankier. For idols, health and LA res, I got this 3 times. So basically we cap our LA res with this, also while getting health. And then we get one with critical strike avoidance, as I said before, to cap our crit avoidance. These health and health idols, the stout idols, are incredibly good. Keep an eye out for them. They are good for any build and will be useful. Will be very, very useful to increase your health pool. And for these idols here, you could go for more stout Ligonian idols of life, but I decided to go with increased spell damage while transform. So I'm giving you options here. You got spell damage while transform, which is the one you want for prefix. For suffix, you can get aspect of the boar effect. You can get increased cold and lightning damage, or you could get also there is another one which gives us it's totem. Increased spell damage if you have an active totem gives us a little bit more, and we're proccing a totem with our Stormcarved Testament, but our totem might die. So the cold and lightning damage is the safer bet. If your totem manages to survive, you could go for the other one, but this is the preferred setup. For our skills, I did not change much. Oh wait, I think I did not go over this one here. So I go for +4 level of Tornado. There are multiple other bases you can use, right? You get health and increased health and cooldown recovery speed. Spell damage here, if you got a good rolled one, 14 spell damage is non-negligible for your build. It is really, really powerful. We gain, I believe it was like with the perfect setup, we were getting about like 16% damage just with this. Like, incredible. If you like movement speed, you can also go for movement speed. So these are the 3 ones that I would recommend. Or you could go for like the physical res one if you don't have like a physical res roll and you want one, because this is giving us 44 physical res. We need 1 suffix roll somewhere. I put it on the ring. You know, this is my optimal setup, but I would probably go with this, honestly. We have like a really big health pool anyway, but you know, depending on what you're trying to achieve here, like for speed farming, I would absolutely go damage all the way. I haven't pushed arena yet with this, so I don't know how it will feel in arena, but yeah, I'll probably go for the damage or the movement speed. I love movement speed. So I go for level of Tornado, level of Swarmblade form, health and increased health, and crit multi-wall transform sealed. For our skills, I did not change much in here. Basically, a lot of people have been asking me that they have problems with rage and sustaining their rage. Basically, what you need, right, is a lot of critical strike chance, because you gain rage with your critical strike chance. With here, you gain 3 rage on crit. You gain rage on boss or rare hit. When you kill mobs, you also gain rage. And you can gain rage here on crit as well if you need to, right? You can remove points from attack speed and get more here. The big change for rage, I think, was people using Rule of the Simoon. It is my bad for telling you to use this. I don't use this anymore because basically the procs, the tornado procs that we get here, they do not benefit from the 80% more damage from Army of the Tempest here. And like this is what makes our our lightnings deal basically huge damage. So yeah, I would not go for Rule of the Simoon. And if you have rage problems, basically get these nodes here. or try to focus more on like hitting elites, right? So yeah. So we go for Viper Skull to gain access to Serpent Strike Tree. We go for the 2 prerequisites here for the Rage, for Wind Fury Strikes, which is the main thing that procs our Lightnings and our Tornadoes and whatnot. And then you get the Needle-like Sting for 10% base crit. Really important to max this out. So don't like, if you have like way too much crit on your gear, of course you can like play with this and like maybe remove 1 point or 2, but ideally you want to get the 5 points in here to make it so much easier to cap your crit. The 4 points in Water Strider to gain the 4 stacks of Maelstroms on dive. You can gain the haste and the frenzy without having 4 points in here, but you will not get as many stacks of Maelstrom that increases your chance to stun. And the stuns, guys, are super important. Super important. I if I could stun everything all the time, I would do it, right? So getting as many stacks of Maelstrom is pretty good. And the remainder of our points go in attack speed. This is like this is the least important in my opinion. Afterwards, we have Tornado, right? Tornado with our lightnings, Tornado. Here we have 24 points in Tornado. I grabbed this node, Churning Orbs, just to get more stacks of Shred on the enemy. I have not tested this full setup with like full exalted melee attack speed rolls everywhere, right? And all of that. And like a good roll of chance to shred armor on hit, like 175. So if you see that you have more than 100 stacks of shred on any given mob, feel free to remove this point and put it somewhere else, for example here, which will give you 5% more damage. So basically, this is the duration. You need the 4 points here. You need the 4 points here. The 4 here to get 100% more here. So these are the needed points, and of course the lightning. Everything else is extra. This is extra. This is extra. This is extra. This one here is extra, and I don't know if the attack speed here is better than the damage here. You can get like up to 15% more damage in here instead of the attack speed. In terms of pure DPS, one is better than the other, but actually playing it, do you want more attack speed to get your tornadoes faster, or do you want bigger hits to stun the enemies more, right? So, I I don't know. Play around with this. I'd probably go like this. It's really nice to be able to proc your tornadoes super fast as you engage in enemies, because higher you go in corruption, the more dangerous it is, and the least you like you want to be killing enemies really fast, really fast, because you don't want them to be hitting you, right? So yeah, that's probably my setup. Maelstrom always stays the same for me. We go 4 in duration, and then we go here to get the mana efficiency. We get the haste, the frenzy. We get the dodge rating per Maelstrom stacks. This synergizes so well with the dodge on Serpent Strike, so it's really good. I go for the lightning here just to get like an extra. So the lightning from Maelstrom doesn't do any damage whatsoever, right? This is not how we're dealing our lightning damage. This does not benefit from all the multipliers from this tree and the multiplier from here. So it's really bad lightning, but it does apply shred. So, and like all of our ailments. So, you know, why not take it? And I absolutely go for the global increased stun chance per stack. Huge difference for the build. Like the only 2 points you could maybe remove would be these 2 to put like in here for like additional targets, or maybe like chance to slow, because this converts the chill to slow. But we don't really need to slow mobs. Like we want to be in the pack of mobs, right? Like yeah, these 2 points you might be able to mess around with. Serpent Strike Tree. Mandatory points here in Slither to get the dodge rating per use. This is basically multiplicative. Every time you attack, you'll get more and more dodge. It's actually overpowered. As you can see, if I show you in game, like I don't have dodge anywhere on my gear, right? But I managed to get like almost like 80% dodge, and I don't have attack speed here. I don't have exalted attack. I don't even have attack speed on my gloves actually, and I just have regular 22% melee attack speed on this one. Only 11% out of 18. Like basically my gear is pretty scuffed. Like it's okay, but it's pretty scuffed, and we're still getting an insane amount of dodge. So that's for that. This bleed is not needed. You could go like either here or here. Like it doesn't really matter. You get attack speed here. Actually, I might actually go here. This bleed will actually probably make the game lag more than going here. Okay, let's change this for this. No, we have a chance of poison. That doesn't matter. Okay. So we gain the 15% attack speed, we get the armor shred chance, and we get the armor shred effect per dexterity. Because like we don't really need this one, but like why not get it? You know, it's free, so I love whatever is free. Cooling point, kill threshold 18%, incredible. This is like after playing this, playing a build without kill threshold just will feel pretty bad. Kill threshold is insane. And then we go for the lunge here. This thing, it's pretty tricky to play. For example, if I can, I don't know if this will be easy to show, but like, if you move your mouse quite a bit like this, right? So right now, I am not using my dive. If you move your mouse around, it procs a little bit more than when it does not, right? It seems to be a little bit scuffed, as in when you dive, you don't always attack, right? Like I don't lunge in range to be able to attack, so you gotta be like moving a little bit forward. I think it's made just to work with the regular Serpent strike, using a spear, having like a higher range, because like different weapons have different range, right? So with the weapons we're using, we attack up until here. If we would be using a two-handed spear, for example, we might be attacking up until here. But yeah, that's not the case. So I still use it because like it's a little bit of a like movement ability, and you can kind of do things with it. But if you don't like this, feel free to remove these points and put them somewhere else. For example, more health gain on kill and on crit, and you know maybe somewhere else. I don't know. Anyways, this is what I do. And for the summon Spriggan here, mandatory points are the 3 here for spell damage. So we gain 15 spell damage. We gain 8% base crit avoidance. We get some dodge rating per attunement here a little bit. We get the aura, which heals us a little bit. And then the other points are here for the health and armor and physical res. So this is just like survivability for our summon Spriggan. I don't know if the best setup is 5-3, 4-4, or 5-3 here, but yeah, feel free to mess around with this to be able to keep your Spriggan alive. And then for the passives here, we have 8 points in natural attunement for... Basically, we're only using this for attunement because the resistances are covered with our idols. I get more damage here. You could go for health. Like, there are some other setups that you can go, but after playing a lot, I think going for the damage here is better. You go for dual wielding here, 10% increased health here. So there's a neat little trick that you can do, right? For example, if you spec 5 points into the Shaman tree, unlock Tornado, you unlock the specialization for Tornado, and then you respec your points in here, you will still keep Tornado on your bar, right? And it will be specced. So, yeah, that's like, because we're proccing Tornado, so Tornado will disappear from your hotbar, but you will keep it specced, and you'll be able to proc it with the specialization. So I found after a lot of testing that these points for attunement and penetration are not optimal for damage, so I remove them when you have like the complete good gear setup. Feel free to like leave them in if you want, and like even max them out at 8. But for me, optimizing this, the 6 points in adaptive spell damage are better used here. Basically, it gives us more damage. So this is why I don't have points in here. There are other things that you could do. So you can get armor with active totem and then attack speed with active totem, since we're proccing a totem with Stormcarved Testament. But this, like, I don't think they're worth it. I think it's just better to get like flat damage and get bigger numbers. 22 points in the Beastmaster tree. This is basically the Beastmaster tax. We get less damage taken from nearby enemies. 1-1 to just gain aspect of the shark. Sometimes to get a little bit of attack speed. The 4 points here. The 1 point here for the 5 points in Porcine Constitution, which gives us basically 15% added damage reduction granted for aspect of the boar. So instead of 15%, we get 30% damage reduction, and then we proc this with our melee hits. So I put 2 points in here. And then the Druid Mastery here, we get 7 points for endurance and armor. This is needed to cap our endurance. This is for penetration and damage. We get here attunement and strength for some damage, some extra armor with the strength and all attributes. This one here, Thicket of Thorns, it's to, when you're getting attacked, you will cast Thorn Shield on yourself, and Thorn Shield will give you more armor and also increases your armor here with this node. So this is just like another layer of defense. These points actually, I thought these points were not here, but okay. Anyways, seems like they are here. I thought I needed these points to like cap crit elsewhere. But anyways, 5 points in here for increased damage while transforming and reduce rage decay. This one is for quality of life. Your rage will only decay if you have used an ability recently. So when you're out of combat, you won't go out of form, just like quality of life, basically. Here you gain attack and cast speed, you gain increased crit chance. I put the 5 points here like I explained earlier, and the 10 points here because we save one roll on our prefixes. This point is just to go here to get more companion health so he survives more. Make sure that your minion survives, guys. If he doesn't survive, you're not getting his buffs whenever he... like when his circle is on the ground when he dies, you still get the buffs, but if the circle disappears, you don't get the buffs, right? So it is very much needed to get like damage and survivability and crit and everything. And then 6 points for the spell damage here. This one's for the rage on crit. So every time you crit, you'll gain more rage. You get increased crit chance. This one is for... This is an insane node in the Druid Mastery. Hide Skin gives you health, and it gives you health, maximum health gain as endurance threshold, which is just like a really, really good layer of defense. And then you have Impervious, that basically reduces the damage you take from hits per stack. And since we're attacking super fast and we're dodging a lot, we don't lose them very often, and we build them up very quickly. So it's a very, very good layer of defense. I think that sums it up pretty much. Yeah, so I'll have some... I don't know if I put them before the video or before this section or after, but I'll have some footage of some monolith for you guys and some bosses. And all right, I'll see you in the next one.